this week's video. Sorry for the squint, the blinds are open at the back there, sun's beaming through. Before we start with this week's video, I just want to go through a couple of little admin points. First of all, welcome to the 4 new people, welcome to the channel, hope you enjoyed it so far. Here's last week's video. If you haven't watched last week's video, go back, have a bit of a look through, come back to this one. Or watch this one first, then go back later. I'll put the description in the bottom. Also, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe if you're new to the channel. I upload videos every Sunday. Sometimes they're a bit late, unfortunately, we're all busy. Now, I'm just going to quickly go and have a shower, get changed, and we'll get on with the main subject of this week's video. Hello everyone, I'm back now. Sorry about that, I had to go and get a shower, I just finished work. Had to give the head a good old scoop over, get it nice and clean, give the beard a trim, but we're all good. But this week I want to speak to you about what's the difference between 1 and 2. Now I don't mean as in like 1 and 2 as in like a maths equation or anything like that. I mean, what's the difference between having 1 child and 2 children? Now just to elaborate on that, I just want to speak to you a bit more about my experiences and what my thoughts have been through having Lucy from having Harrison. Exactly that. Now let's just run through some pros and cons and we'll discuss it a little bit more. Sorry everyone, I was recording this last night, but I overshot my batteries in my thought. I thought I had 2 charged, they weren't charged, but it doesn't matter, we'll carry on. We'll get on with what's the differences between 1 and 2, because that's the question that I wish I'd known before having a second child. Now I've picked 6, which I believe are the biggest ones that I notice more on like a daily basis. So we'll start with sleep. Now sleep is a big factor. Because when you had 1 baby, when it was a newborn, the baby would wake up through the night, you give it the bottles. Let's say the baby then takes a bottle at 6 o'clock. Then you can then sleep with the baby until 9 o'clock till it next wakes up for its next feeds. Now when you've got 2, like when Lucy was born, we had Harrison who had just come out of this big factor of not being able to sleep throughout, like go a solid night, into now he does. So at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, he was up ready to go out for the day. And me and Tash were like, well no, we're still asleep. Harrison, Lucy's still asleep. So regardless, you'd have to still get up at 7 in the morning, even though you'd been up all night with the baby. If Harrison wasn't sleeping because he was having nightmares or he'd wet the bed because he was just potty trained, then it would then be Lucy on the other hour and then it'd be back forth, which in turn causes more stress because you're not getting proper sleep. So then you're at yourself, at each other more and more, which is becoming more of a problem. Now newborns, when you first have your first child, you know, you're winging everything when you have your first child. You don't know what you're doing, there's no manual, all you've got is this health visitor which comes around to your house and tells you how you should do things. Because it's your firstborn, you think, oh yeah, I'll do this, do that, do that. Now with the second one, you automatically assume that when you find out you're pregnant about the newborn and how much of a nightmare it was. Newborns, as a second child, are so easy compared to the 2 or 3-year-old that you'll have that live in the house, because then all you're doing is panicking about your newborn. Really, what you should be worrying about is your 2-year-old, which is swinging off your lampshade, jumping off your settee and punching your telly through. You should be thinking about the little newborn which doesn't move and doesn't do anything, only wakes up every couple of hours to feed. Now to compare that from when now, so like now we've got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, now it's an even bigger nightmare because our 1-year-old crawls, she sofa surfs, she pulls herself up and everything, she opens cupboard doors. Well, as well as looking after her, you've now got to think about the 3-year-old, which is also playing with toys, also standing too close to the telly, and is just generally messing around. So you've got to worry about what he's doing, what she's doing. You've got to think, like when you're stood in the kitchen washing the dishes, you've got to think like, where are the kids, where are they at? Luckily, on the upside to that though, Harrison's also 3 years old. So now you can bring Harrison into it and be like, Harrison, what's Lucy doing? And he'll go off and find her and then he'll come back and report where she is. So he's kind of like like a security camera. He'll tell you what she's up to. Now running errands. Let's say Harrison was like a newborn. When you run an errand, you'd take the newborn out, you'd go off to post office, shop, whatever you needed to do, food shopping, and you'd only have the 1 to deal with. Now to compare that with 2 children, let's say with Harrison at 2 years old and Lucy at a newborn, you know, when you've got a baby, you've got an arsenal of stuff. You've got to carry nappies, baby wipes, nappy bags, drinks, food, snacks. So now when we go out on errands now, or if we go food shopping, now I've got a 3-year-old which is hyperactive, who says no to sitting in the trolley, as well as a newborn which now sits in the trolley, who then starts crying, whinging. So now when you pack up the clothes, now when you're trying to put your food on the conveyor belt, when you're paying for it at the end, I've now gotten a 1-year-old trying to pull the stuff off the conveyor belt, one trying to load it on, and one whinging at the other one because she's pulling it off as he's putting it on, and it's just a never-ending cycle. So running errands with 2 kids is certainly a lot harder than what it was with running errands when you just had the one. Babysitting. Now when you had 1 child, it was fairly easy because you only had to inconvenience just 1 person to have 1 child. Oh, you don't mind looking after Harrison for the night, do you? Yeah, no problem. Then when you've got 2 kids, it's completely different because then it's like, well, can you look after both? Well, both is a bit, you know what I mean? Now this one wakes up in the night, this one sleeps through the night, this one can kind of look after himself, this one can't. So now I've got to keep my eye out on both. So it becomes a bit more of an inconvenience. Whereas now what we may have to do is split them. So Harrison will have to go with 1 person and Lucy will have to go with the other person. Or what we normally do is just get them to come and sit around the house so the kids are asleep and we can go out up to a set time and then come back. That seems to work out all right for us at the minute. And the key part of that is it gets the dates in there, because when you don't spend time with each other, it starts to put an effect on your own relationship, because you need to spend time with yourselves as well as time with your kids. Now, sharing time. Obviously, beforehand, when you only had 1 child, all of your time was devoted into that 1 child. If Harrison come to us and said, oh, can you do this? We'd just do it straight away. There'd be no problem there. Whereas now it's different. So now Harrison, because he's 3, tends to try and push his boundaries on what he can and cannot do. When we had the newborn, you'd obviously spend a lot of time with that newborn to bond with it, as well as change its bum, feed it. Like, you know how long a bottle would take if you've already got a child. It takes a long time to feed a child a bottle, especially when they're newborn. It's a slow process, and the problem is that when you commit to sitting down to feed that child the bottle, and then Harrison starts playing up, then you've got to put the newborn down, then run around after Harrison, and then go back to the newborn. Whereas now, it's a lot difficult again, because you need to try and spend a bit of time individually with each child. So like, Lucy has a nap, then you spend time with Harrison, but when they're both awake, you can get them both involved, which is a positive experience, because at least you're doing something with a pair of them, you know, and you get, that bit's good, that bit's fun, you know, it's a bit different. It's not the same as, like, you know, it's not as hard work, because now Lucy's a bit older, Harrison's older, and they can play together. They tend to entertain themselves quite well, and plus when you want to go and sit down with them, you can play with them both in one go. Hand-me-downs. Now when we had Harrison, everything had to be brand new. We needed a new pram, needed new furniture, new cot, new bedding, new everything. Everything needed to be new. Now with the second one, it's so much different. Like, we kept Harrison's pram for the second one because we knew we were wanting the second child. We kept everything. But I think with the second one, you're not so bothered. You've learned from the first one that they're not really that bothered about toys. They want to play with your phone, or they want to play with your frying pans, or they want to play with your dishwashing stuff, or they just want to play with what you use as an adult. Now, just some personal experience. Before Lucy was born, me and Tash were severely worried of, like, whether we were going to love this new child, whether the new child was going to be healthy, were we ever going to be able to afford the new child. And the major thing was that we felt like we'd let Harrison down. Like, could we love another child as much as what we loved Harrison? And we felt like, looking into his little eyes, that, like, what he doesn't know is that in a couple of weeks' time, that this baby was going to arrive and things were going to change forever. And we were worried, like, whether that was actually going to affect him, or how he'd take that. And that was hard to see, you know, that was hard to look at him and think like that. He didn't know, he had no idea that in a short period of time, things were going to change for him. And then when she arrived, the immediate things that we felt was just relief, instant relief, because she'd arrived into the world. She'd never had the heart problems that Harrison had, so she was instantly healthy, which was a relief to us. All the worries that we'd had before had evaporated away, and Harrison didn't gel with Lucy immediately. There wasn't an immediate bond, because I don't think he kind of knew what it was about. You know what I mean? He'd never really seen a newborn, ever, and never mind one living in his house. 2 or 3 weeks later, that was it. They were gelled from there on, and they've been gelled ever since that moment. Like, now they play together all the time. So it's lovely to see that now that they're best of friends, which is absolutely brilliant, because that was such a big worry. And now, just talking from today's perspective on how it is, it's a lot more stressful, don't get me wrong. It's a lot more harder, and it's a lot more tougher. It's a lot more of a stress on me and Tash, because we've got to deal with so much more. There's so much more, like, well, now we need more baby milk, now she needs more baby milk, she's grown out of this, Harrison needs this. You know, they're squabbling together, they're arguing together, and we're then having to listen to that. It's just double. So if you've got one, then you just kind of double it, but then it's not constant all the time. It fluctuates, it changes, it's wild, it's unpredictable. We're getting the years back that we'd lost with Harrison, like his first step. Now we're starting to witness that with Lucy. She's starting to take her first step. The best parts of watching your child grow up, first words, dada, mama, you know, we're getting them back now, but we're still seeing the magical moments with him, but now we're reliving the ones that he's already gone through. Now, to summarise, I've never ever changed the way it is. We'd always planned to have 2 kids, and now that we've had 2 kids, there'd be nothing in the world that would ever want me to change that. Nothing at all. You know, don't get me wrong, it causes a lot of problems in arguments, and it causes a lot more stress, but I wouldn't change that for nothing. Now, I only touched on like 6 different differences there in between what's the difference between 1 and 2. If you've got any others, or if you've been through some, then please put them in the comments down below and we can have a bit of a chat about them, because I've only obviously seen some and you may be seeing others which I wouldn't have seen. And again, I just want to thank the other 4 people which have joined the channel, and thank all you others that are already on board. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel, please hit like and subscribe. But until next Sunday, I'll see you then.